On today's show, Luka Doncic is winning the breakup. How can Cooper Flagg change that? Talk about that and more. Today's Locked On Mavs. Stop it! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like that.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years. Thanks for being an everyday, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel. Today's episode: can Cooper Flagg change the post-breakup score between the Mavs and Luka Doncic? We'll talk about Luka Doncic's spread in the men's health issue magazine. Just incredible stuff. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about who should start for the Mavs, who's the odd man out in the Mavs rotation. A couple of things on that. But I got to start here. We're at the point where if you've ever broken up with somebody, you're just sitting on Instagram, scrolling, just going through photo after photo, comparing photo angles, comparing smiles, comparing happiness of the person, looking back and just trying to figure out, did I win the breakup? Am I doing better than the person that either you broke up with or that broke up with you? And trying to find some kind of mental, emotional solace in the fact that there's some kind of score happening, right? The winning the post-breakup thing. And today is the day where you go onto your ex's Instagram, you open it, and all of a sudden they've unveiled the beach body. All of a sudden, they have just completely transformed, and you go, oh my God. If you were the one that broke up with them, you think, I've made a grave mistake. I did not see this coming. Or if they broke up with you, you go, what could have been? And for Mavericks fans right now watching Luka Doncic with this Men's Health magazine, to see his transformed body, to see him talking about his new approach on conditioning and how he doesn't want to waste it and how he wants to approach this the way that he should, you get both sides of that, because Nico Harrisin made the choice to break up with Luka Doncic, and Mavs fans did not make that choice, and that choice was made for them. And so now you go, what could have been? Mavs fans can do both things on that front. And I'm looking at this men's health issue, and there are some funny things in it. There's some interesting things in it. And the first thing that I think is just, this was going to happen no matter what. Yeah, maybe Nico Harrisin pushed Luka to this point. But how long have we talked about Luka Doncic and talked about his conditioning and talked about how he takes it seriously and all that? When is he going to finally get to the point? This was always going to happen. This is on track with the timeline of events. He hits 26 years old. He starts to realize, man, my body's breaking down a little bit more than I thought it was. He had some injuries. He had that calf injury that lingered for like over a year. He dealt with injuries all through the finals. He got injured last year. And he was going to hit a point where he finally matured and said, all right, now it's time for me to take this seriously. Steve Nash did it. Dirk Nowitzki did it. Everybody has done this. Like, every star has done this that has dealt with this. Shaq had seasons where he came into camp and he was like, all right, mostly it was due to revenge for Shaq, that he was going to come into camp super in shape. It happened the first year in Miami. He wanted to prove that he wasn't just, the guy next to Kobe, that it was him that was the main leader in this. And so you read some of the comments, and you read some of the things talking that Luka Doncic says in this article, and it's menshealth.com. You can check it out. It's Luka's body transformation. They have a couple pieces on it, which is kind of interesting. But he talks about, if I stop now, it was all for nothing. He left at the end of last season and decided to get in shape. He wanted to work with his trainers, wanted to get back in shape. And he says, just visually, I would say my whole body looks better. He said he feels better. He's been working on intermittent fasting and stuff to limit inflammation. His rest has been better. He said it's like all of it is kind of coming together for Luka. And I'm super happy for him. I think every Mavs fan is probably super happy for him. It was not his choice to leave. But now you have to deal with the post-breakup and deal with the fact that Luka is winning the breakup. He's winning it. He's winning it. He's the one that unveiled the beach body. He's the one that's coming out, and I think he's going to have an incredible year this season. He's got to go play for Slovenia. That's a whole thing that we have enjoyed watching in Eurobasket. He's going to go and he's going to go play that. He does. There's a good amount of games he's going to have to play through that. And I think that that's something that's interesting. He's going to have to go through that in August and into early September and play. There's like 6 preparation games. So I don't know if he'll play. I doubt he'll play in all of those, but then there's the group stage. And then if he gets past the group stage, so there's some basketball to be played. And we've seen this happen with Luka. And this is another point that I want to make. Yes, Luka is winning the breakup. I'll talk about some of the timeline of how it's gone and things like that. But this happens every single year with Luka. I think this is the best that I've seen him. It's definitely the most we've heard him talk about his conditioning and the most he's taken it seriously. And obviously you don't go do a men's health issue magazine spread if you're not leveling up physically, right? Like if you don't want people to know that you are out there making this a point and going out there to dominate conditioning and to finally take it seriously and do all that. I think that he's definitely taken a step. I'm not going to put anything on him that says, oh, this is not real. But I'm like, can we just talk about for a second that we've seen this every single year, and it's always the physical, like still images. It's always a still image of Luka. You can find a still image of Luka that makes him look like he's 350 pounds. You can find another one of Luka that makes it look like he's real cut, like 220, and you're like, oh man, holy cow. It depends on the angle. This happens every single year. And so as much as I want to get excited about that and like go off on the Mavs, like, oh, you finally convinced Luka to get into shape, but he has done this a couple times. If you're a Mavs fan, you know this. We've seen it before. And so I'm not completely sold on this. Oh, Luka's going to be completely different. He's going to dominate. 2 years ago, Luka put up 34, 9, and 10 points, rebounds, assists. And he wasn't in shape completely for that. What's he going to look like when he is in shape? Like, I don't know if you can get much better than that. 34, 9, and 10 and get third in MVP. Come on. Luka has won the breakup. I'm skeptical that he's completely transformed and he's going to be completely different than he was in years past. We've seen this show before. We've seen it happen before. It seems like it's better than it has been in the past. And the key for him is that break between the Slovenia games and the start of the NBA season. We've seen this happen over and over again, where he goes and plays. Maybe, hopefully, he stays healthy. But if he gets hurt again, and then he has time off, and then he comes back, that's the thing that I think will tell if Luka is going to be serious about this. But either way, he's still winning the breakup because of how it went post trade. You go through the timeline. Luka gets traded on February 2nd, 2025. The sympathy goes out for Luka. Nico Harrisin is the most hated man in all of Mavs sports, probably ever. In all of Dallas sports, maybe ever. February 8th, there's a fan protest outside of a game. Anthony Davis suits up for the first time, gets injured, adds insult to injury. Adds injury to insult? It probably does both. That's probably a phrase you can do it both ways. February 25th, the Lakers beat the Mavericks in LA, the first time that they faced each other. March 2nd, the Lakers rise to 2nd in the West. March 2nd as well. Dallas falls to 10th in the West. Like it was just complete. Like the Lakers were rising up. The Mavericks were falling back down. April 9th, the Lakers beat Dallas in LA. Or no, the Lakers beat Dallas in Dallas. That's the game where the Fire Nico chants were like reverberating across the rafters. Luka has 45 points. Like he won the breakup right there. 2 days later, the Lakers win their 50th game of the season. April 15th, Nico Harrisin has his secret meeting with the media because the owner wanted him to have this, this meeting and wanted to kind of like clear up some stuff. It cleared up nothing. It made it even worse. They had to have another press conference after that. Got even worse for the organization. April 30th, the Lakers do lose in 5 games to Minnesota in the first round. And so the Lakers side takes a little bit of a hit here. Then Dallas gets before that, Dallas gets knocked out in the play-in. And so that was another hit for the Mavs. June 27th, Dallas wins the lottery. Huge, like maybe the first time in this whole timeline, the Mavs have gotten any kind of positive thing in this post-breakup timeline. They win the lottery, and I think Cooper Flagg can help change how this is all viewed, and I want to talk about that in a little bit. June 29th, 2 days after the Mavs win the lottery, LeBron issues his statement about the Lakers, and the Lakers side takes a little bit of a hit. And when that statement happened, it was interesting. A lot of people have been talking about it, speculating about what it means. I think LeBron's still going to be on the Lakers, but after next year, LeBron leaves. I don't know that the Lakers have a great way to replace him or replace what he does. June 30th, Dorian Finney-Smith agrees to sign with the Rockets, so the Lakers side takes another hit there. But then they signed Ayton and Marcus Smart. Luka reportedly recruited them. Now, July 28th, the Men's Health magazine comes out. Luka Doncic taking his conditioning seriously, doing 2-a-days, taking his diet right, approaching all of this correctly. And this is the biggest win, I think, so far. Luka has won the breakup. I think Cooper Flagg can change that. Let's talk about what that means for the Mavs going forward. Coming up. Locked On Mavs continues. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I was watching Happy Gilmore 2 over the weekend. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. It's not a good movie itself, but it's so fun. There's so many people in it. And you just realize like how much energy it takes to get through a round of golf. And I don't golf that often, but if you golf and you're like, hey, I want to have the energy that a Happy Gilmore has where you can do the one-step swing all the way through it. Maybe you need a 5 Hour Energy. Maybe you need somebody in your group is lagging behind as you try to get through 9 or even 18 holes of golf. And you need somebody to like, all right, come on, pick up the pace. Let's go. Maybe a 5 Hour Energy is the way to go for them. Golf is all about good times, good people, good flavors. And of course, the great ginger lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy gives the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. You can bring it with you. You can order subscription too with 5 Hour Energy, which is fun. So you can keep getting them. And you can try all the different flavors. There's extra shot. There's like all kinds of different 5 Hour Energies. And so go to 5hourenergy.com today. It's the number 5. It's not F-I-V-E. So 5hourenergy.com. You can use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF. Locked On Golf to receive 20% off your order. The offer is valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with any other promotions. You can't use the code on subscriptions, but you can do a subscription if you want to. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36 holes of golf, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. Locked On Golf is the promo code 5hourenergy.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening each and every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. We're talking about how Luka Doncic won the breakup, displaying the beach body on Instagram. And we're all just here to witness it. And we're all here to just think of what could have been. I went through the timeline. This is what has happened so far. Way more wins for the Lakers and Luka's side than there have been for the Mavericks. The one Mavericks win has been Cooper Flagg, and has been that the Mavericks got the number 1 pick. And this is almost like when you break up with somebody and they go and are with somebody better. They're with LeBron, and so they're hanging out over there in LA, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, their next partner is way better. What an upgrade for them. And then you're kind of wallowing a little bit. You have missed the postseason. You're wallowing. You're not with anybody. And all of a sudden, you get like this promotion at work you did not deserve. Starting to get paid more money. And this is the Cooper Flagg thing. Where all of a sudden, the Mavericks got something the franchise and Nico Harrisin himself did not deserve. And all of a sudden, it happens. And I think Cooper Flagg can change this, because I think Cooper Flagg, at least to me, can reset this whole timeline where we're not comparing 1-to-1 anymore. I go through that whole timeline. Luka gets traded. Mavs versus Lakers. The secret meeting because of the fallout of the trade, the statements made, the fortune favors the bold, all those kind of things that Nico Harrisin said. And it won't be as 1-to-1 anymore, because there will just be this side timeline with Cooper Flagg that's going to be happening. We're still going to have Mavs versus Lakers. It's still going to be Anthony Davis has all the pressure to replace Luka Doncic to me. Nico Harrisin still has his timeline the next couple of years with AD and Kyrie. But you have this side timeline now with Cooper Flagg that just completely changes it, in my opinion. And I think for a lot of Mavericks fans too. You listening, if you're a Mavericks fan and you're like, I'll never forgive them for the Luka trade. Once Cooper Flagg happened, didn't it all of a sudden just like cover that up a little bit? And yes, this is exactly what Nico Harrisin wanted. And he got what he wanted. And I know that also rubs Mavericks fans the wrong way. In a big way, that he got something that he didn't deserve. But you also win too as a Mavericks fan. And so take that. Let it cover it up. It's fine. It is what it is. But now there's this second timeline where it's like, all right, let's watch Cooper Flagg's career and see how that goes. Because that, I think, is how the Mavericks can win this. I think that's the only way they can win this. I said that the day before the lottery. I went on this show. You can go back through our archives on YouTube or podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, anywhere. I literally said the one way out for the Mavericks to get out of this whole Mavs Luka 1-to-1 post-breakup comparison game where you're just not going to win. The only way for them to win the breakup was to get Cooper Flagg. That's the only way. I said that the day before the lottery, knowing that the Mavs only had a 1.8% chance. And here it is. It happened. It's been realized. We're here in this timeline now where the Mavs have the number 1 pick. They get Cooper Flagg. He's played in Summer League. He's talked all about how he's approaching this season. He's everything that everyone has expected and thought that he would be. And it's absolutely awesome. I was listening to our friend Tim Cato over on Zach Lowe's show today. And Zach Lowe was like, I think that Cooper Flagg can be that ball in his hands, superstar type player. And you hear guys like that talk about how good Cooper Flagg can be. And how does that not just make you excited for Mavericks basketball again? And to be excited to see where this goes and almost like push aside this entire drama-filled season and end of season and insane thing that happened to this Mavericks team. It is wild. Wild how much just that one event can just like cover up everything. And it was a 1.8% chance. It's literally Doctor Strange in Infinity War looking at Tony Stark and him saying, I look through 14 million options and there's like, how many do we win? Tony Stark says, how many do we win? And he just point up a finger that said 1. And then in Endgame, where they're sitting there and everything looks bleak, they're losing. They don't have the Infinity Gauntlet. And all of a sudden, Doctor Strange looks over at Tony Stark, holds up the one shaky finger, and he's like, it's just the one. Just the one. If Doctor Strange could have held up a hand that said 1.8, that would have been the finger that the Mavericks would have had to hold up to their fans and been like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one way that they can get out of this. Wild. Like, I just still can't believe that happened, because you look at this timeline and you go, the Mavs should just be buried by this. All these like L's that the Mavs have taken in this timeline. The initial reaction to the trade that everyone thought that Shams was hacked. The Mavs fan protests where some of you maybe were out there protesting the team. That never happens for a team, and it happened. The Mavs getting beat by the Lakers twice. Luka scoring 45 in their building while the whole fan base chants fire Nico. AD gets injured in the very first game he plays for the Mavericks. The Lakers rise to 50 wins and second in the West and end up being third in the West. I think they ended up being fifth. It didn't really matter. Like, they end up making the playoffs and the Mavs don't make the playoffs. They get knocked out in the second play-in game by the Grizzlies. Like, they just take an L after L after L. And Cooper Flagg is the one way out. He is the one way that they could get out of this. Luka's won the breakup. Cooper Flagg can push that all to the side, and we can move on in that sense. But coming up, I want to answer some more questions that you guys had from yesterday. Some people in our text line. Who starts on opening night? I think it's easily 4 players that start. And then there's 4 options and who could start with them. I'll tell you who they are in the best one. We'll talk about all that and more coming up. All right, we're hanging out here on Locked On Mavs. If you skipped forward to this part because you're like, I don't want to hear about Luka anymore. Hello, welcome to Locked On Mavs. I'm Nick Angstadt, your host here. I know people do that. I know you do that you skip forward until I stop talking about Luka. We answered some questions yesterday that you sent in the text line, and you can just go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnMavs, or you text the link, or go to the link in the description, or text the number. It's 214-643-8637. We love getting texts and questions. I got 2 questions yesterday we didn't answer that I wanted to get to today. And I did want to do something that was non-Luka. Who starts on opening night? Who closes opening night in a close game? The starters opening night will easily be Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, Dereck Lively, D'Angelo Russell. Clearly, to me. I think it's that 5th starter that changes the way that we look at this team, at least starting. And starting is not everything. I loved when we would talk about starters and we would debate about who should start. And then a lot of our European listeners would be like, why do you guys care so much about starting? That shouldn't matter as much. I'm like, you're right. But it talks about status. And it also, to me, talks about how a coaching staff views the team and how they view what they are, what their identity is, what they're best at, and things like that. So you see when Klay Thompson starts last season, it's obvious that the Mavericks thought that their team needed some more shooting, needed some more spacing in that starting lineup. And you go, okay, well, boom. Then now he starts. There's been others in the past that you see a player start and you go, okay, that's what they think about this team. So if I look at this team, to me, I start Klay Thompson again. I think they need that shooting. He's the best shooting option, obviously. You then get questionable perimeter defense. Klay was pretty solid in my opinion last year. Not good, but solid. D'Angelo Russell, not been good, not been solid defending. And so then you're asking a lot of Cooper Flagg to defend perimeter guys, Anthony Davis and Dereck Lively to clean up a lot of things and to play from behind a lot on defense. But Klay is also I don't think he's a stiv on defense. Like, I don't think he's just completely going to get destroyed. And to have one bad defender and one solid defender and three really good defenders on a starting five, you can work with that no matter what position they're at. So Klay Thompson, I think, is the answer that I would pick, because I think that offense is going to need some more. I think the defense is going to be fine enough. I think they need to start better offensively, get more shooting. D'Angelo Russell's going to bring some shooting. Klay Thompson some shooting. Not sure what I'm getting from Cooper Flagg right out of the gate shooting wise. Anthony Davis has not been a good 3-point shooter since the bubble, basically. And so your spacing is kind of sticky. Dereck Lively has not started taking threes yet. We hope and pray the one day that D Live starts taking threes, like we pray that will happen. But it has not happened yet, and so I'm not holding my breath for it. Klay Thompson would be my answer for the starting five. The only answer that we've kind of heard from the coaching staff is PJ Washington. That Jason Kidd has talked about starting PJ and Cooper Flagg together, playing those guys together. This would become a huge lineup where all of a sudden you lack perimeter defense, but you have so much help defense that it may not matter at all. As long as they're connected and as long as all those guys are working together, you got a 6'8" PJ Washington, a 6'9" Cooper Flagg, a 6'11" Anthony Davis, and a 7'1" Dereck Lively. It doesn't matter who you start as the fifth guy. Like, that's length right there. You're not getting to the paint against that team. Or if you get to the paint, you're having a bad time once you get there. Huge lineup. You are still lacking perimeter defense. PJ is not the perimeter defender that is like the elite point of attack guy that you want. That's not the type of defender that he is. He is a good defender, but not at that guarding those positions. You got some questionable shooting because all of a sudden in your starting five, you go, PJ Washington has been a good shooter for the Mavericks. He's been used to taking the wide open looks that Luka gave him. He did shoot well from three after the trade, and so something to consider. But your shooters are now PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis on their wings. D'Angelo Russell with the ball in his hands. When he doesn't, D'Angelo Russell can catch and shoot for sure. And so you're asking a lot of D'Angelo Russell to be your best shooter in your starting lineup, and everybody else to be like shaky or questionable at best. But that's a huge lineup, and I'm going to be fascinated to see when it happens, because it is going to happen, and I'm curious to see what Jason Kidd does with it. But that huge lineup would be very interesting. Who defends who? How does the offense work? Cooper Flagg's going to get the ball in his hands a lot too, and so you can kind of see how that would work. The best option the Mavs could go with. This is the one that I've hoped, and I had really high hopes at the beginning of the trade season last year, is Max Christie. That's the best option. If he takes a leap, he shot 36% from three last year, increased volume, which is really positive. If he can be a good enough shooter, I think he can be a better defender than Klay Thompson, obviously. And I think he can be the best perimeter defender on the Mavericks. And so, at least defending guards, like point of attack guy. He's got some pretty good size. You don't realize how big he is. And he had a big adjustment period after that trade. Like, he came over and he said a lot of the right things. Remember when the trade happened, he talked about how people were comparing this to the, they're saying it's the biggest trade of all time in sports, and being part of that is cool. Like, remember when he said that? Like, if that's what he's saying publicly, think about how immense that is to approach that situation where you're like, I was in the biggest trade in sports history. Whoa. To all the to see all the injuries the Mavs went through, all the increased responsibility a bunch of guys got like immediately as soon as they got added to the team. There was a lot going on last year. Max Christie had just like cracked the Lakers rotation. And he got to a point where the Lakers had to start him. And he only started 25 games for the Lakers. It wasn't like he was a dead set starter for them for a full year before they traded him. He started 3 games his first year with the Lakers in 2023. He started 7 games out of 67 in 2024. And then before he got traded, he started 25 of 46 games for the Lakers. It wasn't like he was just this guaranteed starter. He had like finally come into his own as an NBA role player. Lakers fans were really excited about him and excited that he had finally stepped into that role and had become that player for them. And then he's in the biggest trade of all time, according to him. And so that transition, I think, is massive. He's worked with them. He's been in the gym. He's been in the Mavs practice facility. We saw him. He did a camp in Dallas recently. And so he's been around. Hopefully that has helped his transition period. And I'm really hoping for Max Christie that 2 or 3 weeks into the season, a month into the season, we're going, why is Max Christie not starting right now? And if that's the case, if we're saying that about Max Christie, then I think that the Mavericks are in a good spot. Because that lineup with D'Angelo Russell, Max Christie, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Dereck Lively makes a lot of sense. Klay Thompson in his prime would make that lineup make a ton of sense. But I think Max Christie is the closest you can get to that right now. If Max Christie does take that leap, if he becomes or if he is the role player and starter that we hope that he can become, then that one's the best because he can chase around those perimeter offensive players. That's what you need in that spot. You need somebody to knock down threes to be the release valve for Cooper Flagg with the ball in his hands, Anthony Davis with the ball in his hands, D'Angelo Russell with the ball in his hands. You need somebody to catch and shoot because you got the finisher in Lively and Anthony Davis can both finish around the rim. You need spot up shooters, and D'Angelo Russell can be that, and Max Christie can be that. And so now all of a sudden you have that movement that I think they'll get with Klay Thompson if they start him. But then you have a better option defensively, better, younger legs, all that. They can chase guys around. You need somebody to chase in this lineup. And I don't know that you want to ask D'Angelo Russell to do that. And I don't know that you want to ask 36-year-old Klay Thompson to do that. Your fourth option starting is Caleb Martin. He is the best perimeter defender on the Mavericks right now. He is. At the moment, he's the best one. Last year, in the limited time that we saw him, I was like, yep, he's the best perimeter defender. But the thing about him is his three-point shooting has been shaky. He shot 37% from 3 for 3 years in Miami, shot pretty well in Philly before he got traded, and then he gets traded to the Mavericks, and he shot 25% from 3, and it just did not look good. His shot looked shaky. You could see like as he warmed up that he was like almost questioning his shooting touch and his form, and like there was a hitch, and then there was like a pause, and then you're like, what is going on with this? And so that is the big question for Caleb Martin. If he gets the 3-point shooting worked out, then I think that could work. And I think the Mavs could consider Caleb Martin to start. Nico Harrison's obviously very high on him, brought him in, traded Quentin Grimes for him. Quentin Grimes then went off for the Sixers. But that's another option that they do have because I do think he is the best perimeter defender. He's definitely better than what Klay Thompson is right now. He's better than Max Christie was last year. He's better defending guards than what PJ Washington was. And I think that could be your option that you go with. It's just the 3-point shooting. And I think you need a better 3-point shooter in that spot than you need a better defender right now in that spot. Because if you put Caleb Martin out there, he's shooting 25% from 3, or you put Najee Marshall, which is why I have not considered him because he did not shoot well from 3 last year at all either, and doesn't look like that's going to happen for him in his career. Could. I hope it does. But I can't go with a 25% 3-point shooter, rookie Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis as your wings, and think that I'm going to operate a top 15 NBA offense or a top 20 NBA offense. That's going to be tough. So I need a better shooter there. So Max Christie, Klay Thompson, those are the 2 options that I would go with. You would have a lockdown defense, though. You have Caleb Martin locking down, Cooper Flagg locking down, Anthony Davis locking down, Dereck Lively locking down. D'Angelo Russell's just going to be like, D'Angelo Russell could sit down during defensive possessions, and the Mavs could still get stops if they had that lineup out there. We'll have more stuff. I think Slightly and Isaac and myself, we're going to do another like Thursday, Friday show. And I think we're going to draft best Mavs villains in Mavs history. I'm excited for that because we're going to pick just whoever. And I think it's going to be super fun. So we've got all that great stuff coming. Subscribe to the show wherever you're listening and watching this. Subscribe to the text line. Again, you can just go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnMavs, or you can text the number, click the link in the description. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.